You know the metal building industry is going to hate us for this one, right?
Yeah, probably. In this video, we're gonna give you 5 key factors that affect your metal building price, which will allow you to really build the right tubular building that fits your budget and ultimately saving you money.
Welcome back, Pack. Y'all already know the drill. Adbeel and Anna from WolfSteel Buildings here, and today we're going to be talking all things money. So in this video, we're going to be talking to you guys about some key factors of what you need to do or how you can save money on your tubular metal buildings.
And that is what we're going to be diving in today.
Insider trader secret number 1.
Width. Okay, so the wider you go, the more reinforced your trusses are. Okay, so for example, if you go from a 30 to a 32 wide, you already seen about a 25 to 35% increase in your price.
Honestly, one of the most popular sizes that we have in the tubular metal building industry is a 30 by 40. And I think one of the reasons is because they're not passing that 30 wide where they go into that 32, because that pricing is scary. That pricing is scary for a lot of customers.
Yeah, so, and the reason why is because the 31 wide or greater, the trusses have to be redesigned, and they are designed more commercially. So you will see, we call it the web trussing, especially to create a very clear span of 31 wide or wider. And that is what is increasing your prices.
And now, let's not forget about the equipment fees.
Yeah, so the equipment fees are actually pretty out of our control. And so it just depends how long the project's gonna take. The equipment fees will apply. And so there are just many different varying factors that affect the equipment fee charge. When you have a 30 wide or under, then typically those are constructed with our bare hands, so it's very manual, and that's what makes them really cost effective. When you have equipment fees, scissor lifts, sky tracks, then the price can start adding up. And let's do an analysis. Okay.
So if we're comparing the most popular size, which again is that 30 by 40 by 12, and we'll talk a little bit about that too, with a 32 by 40 by 12, what are we looking at with price differences?
Yeah, so I'm just doing just a general box, 30 by 40 by 12, all vertical, and a 32 by 40 by 12, all vertical, same specs. Only difference is 80 square foot difference. That's it, 80 square foot more. The price for the 30 by 40 is $17,539. That's delivered and installed. The 32 by 40, you're looking at a price of $25,309, and that's with equipment. That's delivered and installed as well.
That's just 80 square feet.
That's 80 square feet, and you're in the additional price is $7,560, which is about a 30% increase on your price. Now, keep in mind also that we do concrete, but we're not really talking about concrete, but keep in mind that change also affects your concrete footings. You need deeper footings to support the weight of that commercial type of trussing, and therefore you will pay a little bit more in your concrete costs for something of that type of trussing.
One of the biggest things that we usually recommend to customers when they're kind of looking at pricing, if you can go longer, go longer. The reason is although length affects your pricing, it doesn't affect it to the same extent as your width. That trussing, nothing has to be changed when you go longer. So as you go, you can go the longest way you can, go with it. If you have to add doors or anything like that on the side, there is additional fees. With that comes like headers or anything like that as we're removing some of those legs. But it does not rack up a 30% charge, almost $7,000 just by the width.
Yeah, we had a client that we were working with. He really wanted like a 30 or like a 40 by 20, I think, or 40 by 30, something like that. So we actually changed it up to be a 20 by 40 and saved them about 30%. So just because we put all the doors in the front and the sides instead of in the front. Because if you put them in the front on the gable side, then you're making the trussing wider to be able to fit so many doors. That made it the price rack up a little bit higher. then we got the same square footage, but we turned it around, we had the doors on the side. Let's go to the next one. So insider trader secret number 2, and that is
roof styles. So there are 3 different roof styles across the industry, those being the standard roof, the A-frame horizontal, and the A-frame vertical. The standard roof is our most cost-effective roof in the industry. That roof style has rounded corners, and the panel orientation runs from front to back, with them being horizontal. The 2 different styles that are a little bit more similar are the A-frame styles, which are a little bit more residential. Those styles are the A-frame vertical and the A-frame horizontal. The A-frame horizontal has the same orientation as the standard roof, which is front to back, and the A-frame vertical, exactly how it sounds, has the orientation running from the top to the bottom, with additional material called hat channels or purlins.
Yeah, so the A-frame vertical, because of those purlins, it creates like a checkerboard. What would you call it? Like a checkerboard?
Checkerboard style.
And you need those purlins to be able to bolt the panels of the vertical. So for that reason, the A-frame vertical can be a little bit more on the pricier end. The horizontal paneling just gets bolted on every truss and from front to back. And so therefore the price can be a lot more on the lower end. Here at WolfSteel, we only offer
the A-frame vertical.
That's the only thing we offer here. We don't encourage the horizontal, I guess because we do a lot more like bigger projects, but if you have a small project, you could consider the horizontal.
If we're looking at, again, let's take a look at that 30 by 40, which is, again, most popular size that is offered in the industry. If you go with the standard roof style, that is usually at no additional cost across the industry with the companies that do offer it. So if you're looking, maybe some customers aren't really in our service area, usually that standard roof, if you're looking at another company, is not an additional cost. If you're looking at the A-frame horizontal, we're looking at an additional roughly around $325 to get that residential style. So it is a different look from the rounded corners. And apart from that, you have just with the A-frame vertical. So with the A-frame vertical, which is the only one that we offer here, how much are they looking at?
Yeah, we're looking at about $1,500. So for this, like a 30 by 40. So now there are a couple things I do want to mention is that if you're doing a 30 by 40, especially enclosed, you definitely do not want to do horizontal roof. We actually we wouldn't even do it. And the reason why is because when we transport a sheet metal, the longest we can carry is from 30 to 35 foot long. So if we're having a 40 foot long and you're doing horizontal, you got the panel overlapping another panel. Over time, you can have water seeping in through the
ridges.
Yeah. So that seam right there is for a long-term period. You're definitely going to have that leaking. So for that reason, we do not. That's the beauty of the vertical, and that's really what the panels were made for. So you got the ridges, you interlock another one over the other, and that creates the roof system. That is, you're just not going to have any water seeping in through, especially long-term. So a 30 by 40, fully enclosed, go with the vertical roof. That's the only one we offer on our side. Now, there is a change also in the trim system. The trim work for a vertical roof along the eaves it's a full complete system, and it's really, really, really nice. You should be seeing it in all our projects. And when you do an A-frame horizontal, you have a different trim system that on the eaves, it's just a simple L trim. It looks not fully complete. That's my opinion. I don't know what's your opinion on that.
I mean, I think there's a reason why we only offer a certain roof, and it's just because I think all across, everyone on the team agrees of like all the trimming work and everything. It just makes it look more put together. It looks more aesthetically pleasing. A lot of the times, if you're adding onto your property, any type of property you have, whether it's on where you have your home or whether it's an additional property, you want it to build value. So you want something that looks good, that's aesthetically pleasing, that looks complete. Because if it's not, then ultimately, is it really?
And I hope we can actually show that difference, because what Anadela is saying is definitely true. Something that looks complete and aesthetically pleasing. Maybe you can save money today, but maybe in the long term when you're trying to sell your property or trying to sell your land, something that is aesthetically pleasing is actually what will end up selling too. So keep that one in mind, and let's go to the next one.
Insider trader secret number 3.
Horizontal walls versus vertical walls. So in the previous secret, we talked about secrets factor. We talked about the roofs. Okay, so we talked about horizontal roofs and the vertical roof. And I forgot to mention that the vertical roof also comes with a 5 pound per square foot more on your roof load. So I did not mention that, and that is actually important because if you're going to be putting in like solar panels on your roof, I think the solar panels are about 2 to 5 pounds per square foot. So, you know, it definitely helps with that if you're going to be putting solar panels. I know that's something that's becoming very, very popular here in Texas. So keep that in mind. Also the roof panels for vertical, you got all the water and debris running to your sides. And the reason why you see only vertical roofs on homes or metal roof homes, you see the panels running up and down for vertical roofs. But now we're talking about
horizontal,
about the walls. You can have a horizontal walls or vertical walls. If you're getting the 31 wide building or greater, like a 40 or a 60 wide, automatically you're gonna have vertical roofs with the buildings we built, automatically. But if you have a 30 wide or smaller, you can do horizontal, and it is an option that you can select. So
ultimately, from an aesthetic perspective, it is a matter of choice. If you're doing something residential, a lot of the times most people want to match their home. You know, you want to make sure that it looks seamless and put together. You don't want a blue building with, you know, a black and white home. You could, especially here in Texas. Dallas Cowboys are pretty. So from an aesthetic perspective, it really depends on how you want to match your home. If you have more of a traditional built home, that siding does run horizontally, so you can run your panels horizontally to match that. However, we're seeing more and more modern homes being built, and that does have board and batten running vertically, which is up and down. So it does make sense to run those vertically on your metal building to make sure that it looks put together.
And then from a framing and engineering perspective, it really doesn't make a difference. We still build the codes. However, we do see a lot more rigidity with the vertical panels. And the reason why is because we run a girth all the way around the building, every 48 inches approximately, to be able to bolt the vertical panels. Those are square tubing that is bolted on from every column or every stud in between, okay? And that really gives it a lot of extra more support to your building, especially from high winds to not allow your legs to buckle in. That really gives it extra support. So that is the additional material that comes with it, with the vertical panels.
And that additional material obviously comes at a cost. So from a price point perspective, whether you want to go with vertical, whether you want to go with horizontal, you know, it doesn't affect engineering and it doesn't affect your aesthetics, but it does affect your pricing. So when you're kind of looking at these two different options, understand that your horizontal is at no additional fee. For those 30 wide buildings and under, typically it's a standard. But if you want to upgrade to the vertical, any upgrade has a cost, and that cost is additional materials that you just mentioned that we have to do, and it's additional labor that our guys have to do. So those do have a different price point. So we're going to compare, so you guys can see that pricing. We're going to compare that 30 by 40, which is again most popular size. What are we looking at for price differences between vertical and horizontal?
Yeah, so what we're looking at is about $2,211. So say you wanted the 30 by 40 horizontal, you're looking at about $15,328. And then the all vertical siding, again, this is with the vertical roof, all the vertical siding, you're looking at $17,539, which is $2,211 extra. That is about an increase of about 13% on your price. So just keep that in mind if you're doing the vertical. Just having to cut the girths and fitting them in between every space is a lot of additional work. And also just the way of setting up the panels, it's a lot more panels you're working through because it's every 3 foot. As opposed to the horizontal, you just bring a long panel and you just bolt and let's go. So it's about 3 times more labor for the vertical panels. Also, keep in mind, if you want wainscoting, so it's just a 2-tone panels, if you want wainscoting For horizontal, it's no additional cost. You just say, hey, I want another color on the bottom. Cool, no problem, let's go. If you want the vertical panels two-tone, there's an additional material which we call this a Z-trim, and it's a lot more labor intensive to make sure it looks really nice, and therefore you will see an increase. You could see another increase of about $1,000 to $1,500, I believe, for this project. And this one, I'm just thinking of it in my mind that that's something to really consider. If you're really wanting wainscoting, there is also that increase for doing the wainscoting for vertical walls.
Another thing though, it is an additional fee, but one of the things that we always tell our customers is think long term. Yeah. What are you gonna be doing with the building? And one of the things that most people wanna do is put electricity. And once you have electricity in your building, one of the best ways to kind of run that is with the extra girts that you put into your vertical paneling. And it's very easy to hide it without having all your wires or anything like that. It's easy to run those conduits on those extra girts that you have, or even right there where they have that wainscoting. So that's something to also keep in mind. What are you wanting to do long-term with your project? Or even as soon as we leave your property, what's your next step in your project?
That is very, very true. I've seen that when you have horizontal walls, either you run your electrical conduits off the ridges of the panel, which is not recommended, or you would have to, put your own framing members to be able to
run that,
bolt your conduits. So, great point, Anadela, and that ends our
number three.
Insider secret number 4, and that is roll-up doors versus overhead doors. Okay. So this year I have gotten a lot of calls regretting the garage door choice. So one thing to really keep in mind, guys, is that when you get a quote and it says garage door, there's many different garage doors. Okay, there's options, and there is the roll-up doors and overhead doors. They're different. They're roll-up garage doors and overhead garage doors. So let me explain what the differences are, but there are other doors as well. And now the regrets, I'll explain a little bit later. Now let's break it apart. So the roll-up door is more of like the curtain doors, and they are actually very easy to use, and they usually made out of just steel. There are some new doors coming out. We don't offer them yet, and in the industry of the tubular building, it's kind of hard to find them. But they can come with the radiant barrier like insulation to reflect that radiant energy. So those you can find, but we're not really gonna be talking about those because we don't offer those. Also, they are very durable. They're very maintenance free, they're very durable. So that's the roll-up door, and those are the ones that roll into a curtain.
The overhead sectional doors are recommended when you're going to be insulating your metal building or when you have a residential look style. A lot of the times we always say, why is it that your home doesn't have roll-up doors? There's a specific reason to it. The overhead doors air seal tight as can be your building. So what does that do? It's very recommended when you're going to thermal control or when you're going to insulate your metal building. If that's one of your main goal, your main idea, go with the overhead doors. It is a little bit more expensive, and we're going to be talking a little bit about that. But if you want to air seal tight your building, that's going to be your best bet.
Yeah, the roll-up door comes with, because of the ridges, you can have a lot of airflow in between, and then also the gap of the roll. So we actually have a video coming up where we solve this with brush seals for a client, and it does help, but it's not as effective as the overhead door. Sectional doors. So now what's been happening is that a lot of our clients have insulated their building, and the roll-up door is hot because it's made out of steel. So they have asked, how to, swap them out or how to help with the roll-up doors. But in reality, the roll-up door, to me, the way I explain it is, it's kind of like you're riding in your car and you got your AC on, but you got your roll-up door or your windows rolled down. So technically you're getting that heat still coming in. And so that's why I do not recommend a roll-up door if you're going to be insulating your building, especially if you're in Texas and insulation is not inexpensive. There is an additional price to it that can really make a big factor, especially like spray foam or even fiberglass. But we don't offer fiberglass on tubulars. We offer spray foam. So if you're already going to be investing in that, you've got to consider having the roll-up doors or the overhead doors, since they have the insulation options.
So when we're looking at pricings for these two types of buildings, the roll-up doors are usually more cost-effective. Reason being is they're usually bought in bulk, and they have more standard, unless you're going with an unstandard size. But you will find that the overhead sectional doors are more expensive, but of course you have more value that you get out of them if you're going to be investing into things of like spray foam or anything like that. So usually those typically those are a little bit more expensive, and we're gonna pop up a chart, and we're actually gonna talk to you guys a little bit about the chart on how you see those prices fluctuate.
Yeah, so like for example, a 10 by 10 is a very common size door. If you would get a roll-up door, you're looking at about $1,070. That's with the opening, the trim, and installed on your building. And then for let's go into an R6, R value 6 insulated overhead door, you're looking at $2,812 with 16 cents. Again, that's installed with the frame out opening. And so you're right there, you're kind of looking about 2.5 to 3 times the cost of a standard 10 by 10 roll-up door. Now let's look into a 16 by 8, which is really like kind of to fit 2 cars. The 16 by 8 overhead door, sectional door, and roll-up door comparison. You can see right now is $2,560 for the roll-up door, since it's not a standard size. That is not a standard size where we buy them in bulk. As far as our R value 6 insulated overhead doors, you're looking at $3,031.25. So right there you can see that those are just the price differences, and it's something to really account for depending what you're using the building for. If you're doing a roll-up door, they're very common in storage buildings or commercial settings where, you know, thermal control is not a huge factor, and then overhead sectional doors are very common in residential and highly recommended if you're going to be insulating your metal building.
Insider trader secret number 5.
And that is your height. Okay, so I do recommend that if you're shopping for a tubular metal building and you're gonna be doing something taller than 13 foot tall on your eaves, not on your peak, but on your eaves. Anything taller, really take this crucial factor into consideration.
In Texas tubular construction, pricing is not only affected by the height, but also the integrity of the building. So what we're about to talk about is how WolfSteel builds and how our pricing is affected with our buildings on this height. We do not speak for other companies because they do build differently than we do, so their pricing is affected a little bit differently. But this is just speaking from our experience.
From our experience, exactly. So up to 12 feet tall, so from 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That is built with a single stud or single leg. And once you get to 13 foot and 14 foot, we basically grab 2 of these, another one, and we weld them together. So together we create from 2.5, well this one's 12 gauge, you can feel the heaviness. 2.5 and 2.5 or 2.25 and 2.25 is about a 5-inch column. So that's extremely important here in Texas for lateral pressure from wind pressure. And when you create that 5-inch column, basically the wider the column, the better for lateral pressure. If we're going from 15 foot tall and greater, we're already doing a ladder leg. So it's basically one of these and another one here, and then another small piece of this, and here we create a ladder leg. You should be seeing some pictures showing up. That creates a 7.5-inch column to be able to really support for lateral pressure.
One thing about here in Texas is that we don't have to deal too much with the snow. Texas has been a little bit all over the place with its weather, but typically we don't have to deal too much with snow, but we do have to deal with high winds, especially in that Houston area. Those buildings that do not have much reinforcement and they're 13, 14 foot legs with just one single column, there is a lot of room to have that sway. So typically that's why we have that standard in our company to have additional reinforced. But of course, additional reinforced means additional labor, additional materials, comes at an additional cost. So let's go back to our 30 by 40 and let's look at different pricing and see how that is affected.
Yeah, and especially since like what's been going on with the tubular industry is like what's clients after a while then may turn them into a home, might turn them into different things. The original plan is just a storage building. You know, it can possibly get away with a single leg, and then it's just like, okay, it's just got to be extra reinforced to make sure for future use what you're using the building for. You never know, it might become your Airbnb or just a residential, and for that reason, we have now changed and created this standard of how we build. Compared to maybe in the industry, something to really look into is how is it being constructed and make sure that it's engineered correctly for your local coast. Now, let's talk about the pricing. So
30 by 40 by 12, which is, you know, the standard where we don't have to do much. When you're looking at that pricing for the 12 foot on the eaves, you're looking at $15,328. When you go up to 14,
and when you go up to 14 foot tall, which is a 30 by 40 by 14, everything else the same vertical roof, and now horizontal size, let's just say horizontal size, there is, the new price is $20,404. That is an increase of about 33%, an increase in price. So that's only 2 foot tall on your eaves, and that also includes equipment rental. So a 30 by 40 by 12 foot tall, we can build those manually up to almost any building 12 foot tall that's not the 31 or greater, we can build it manually. But if it's a 14 foot tall, 30 by 40 by 14, we can't do it manually, especially with the 3-man crew, maybe with the 4-man crew, but typically you will have an equipment charge for that, and that is the rental of a SkyTrack to lift those heavy columns and with the trusses together to be able to erect your building. So that is something to really keep in mind that increases your price.
Apart from that, I mean, it is a lot. 33%, it's $5,076. That's a lot of money. That is a lot of money, but apart from the equipment fee that you're seeing on there, it's also that double leg that he was talking about. Or exactly, even if you go a little bit more, right, which we didn't explain, but that ladder leg is also an additional fee. So it's additional material just to construct the framing members that they're going to go out there and put up. So there's a lot of different factors as you're going up and up and up. But you are getting additional strength, and you're making sure that that building does not leave your site where you're at.
Hope not.
One thing about WolfSteel is we do not shy away from talking about pricing. We know how complicated it is out there to look for a Texas tubular metal building, so we know how important it is to provide these options for you guys. So whether you're shopping with us or another company,
Which you shouldn't be.
the only reason you should be shopping with another company is if we are not in your service area. But whoever it is that you're shopping with, we know how important it is. So take into consideration these 5 main reasons. Look them over, talk to the company, know what they're offering you, and you know, that's something that we hope that we provided value there for you. So it was a long one. Thank you for sticking around. As always, if you like this video, go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.
And guys, if you feel that we saved you a lot of money in this video with all these crucial factors, make sure to like and share and subscribe. That's the only thing we're gonna charge you. That way it can keep us creating more videos like this and helping you guys out on your metal building journey. So see you guys in the next one.